Hello and welcome to Afterlife Topics. If you like this type of content, please consider subscribing to the channel or becoming a patron at patreon.com/Afterlife Topics. Hello everybody, welcome to Afterlife Topics and Metaphysics. This is Cyrus once again coming at you with a new video, and tonight I'm talking about Abraham Hicks again. An interesting change in her philosophy that I think is something to note, even though this recording is about 11 years old. I think it's relevant. I think for once Abraham Hicks actually makes some good points I can agree with, but it's strange to what extent she made a 180 degree reversal. This high level of inconsistency with this particular new age channeler is strange to me. But considering she has some of the most influence of anybody in the spiritual communities, I think it's important to highlight. Now, before you get started, a couple quick notes. If you happen to be watching this on Wednesday night when I put this up, or Thursday, then you have time on Friday to come to a Q&A event with me hosted by the Reddit Astral Projection community. And this will be on Discord, which is a social media platform that all the kids are using these days. And so you may have to learn a few new social media skills if you're not used to using Discord, but I will put the link in the description of this video. In addition to that, as always, subscribing to this channel greatly helps, and becoming a patron is by far the best possible way to support the work I do and keep this channel going, or buying a consultation with myself. It is not very expensive, about $50 for an hour, to help with astral projection and to give you some direction on your journey. All right, that being said, let's go ahead and look at this video dated 2010 by Abraham Hicks. Now, as a preamble, I put up a video in 2019, or actually at the beginning of 2020, with one Deanna Dawson, where we deconstructed and, to use the strongest adjective I can think of, eviscerated Abraham Hicks. And this video was controversial. I did get a fair amount of hate mail from people who are dyed-in-the-wool Abraham Hicks acolytes. And I think if you're an acolyte of anybody, stop and rethink your life. But really, what we were criticizing was some of her horrific statements. Things like 9/11 victims, were responsible for their own deaths because of their choices in life karmically. It's like, this is really absurd. But really the worst parts of Abraham Hicksism is the idea that RAPISTS, even though I think the video is going to say those naughty words, this video is probably going to get censored by YouTube, but that they are not only responsible for the own horrible things that have happened to them, but the people who commit those acts are fulfilling like a soul contract to do those things. So in that video, I break down these types of messages that Hicks proposes. Now, maybe some of those messages were from the early 2000s, and so to be completely fair, I think it's important to highlight this video from a later, maybe a little bit later on, where Hicks suddenly sounds a little bit more like me. Although noted, I think it's kind of funny in this snippet just how, bitchy Esther Hicks sounds in this video. It sounds like she's about to tear this poor audience questioner a new one. I personally don't think Esther is the happiest or nicest person to live with, but that is beside the point. I just hope that more of her followers will listen to this snippet and not the other stuff, because I think this is actually really good material. So let's take a listen.
Good morning. Oh my gosh, I have so much. First of all,
please tell us that much of it has been resolved from what you've heard already.
Some of it has.
Then get right to what hasn't.
I'm a parent to two boys, and I've been reading about sacred contracts that we make as souls before we transition and incarnate. And so if you've got children and you're doing the best that you can as a parent, and they have a sacred contract, let's say they're supposed to be a perpetrator or a victim of a violent crime.
We are not really thrilled that you're reading that book.
Oh.
In other
Okay.
words, it implies that your life has already been planned before you got here, and it implies that horrible things have already been planned into your life, and it's just not that way.
It's not true.
It's just not that way. Not one of you came forth from non-physical and planned a horrible thing, but every one of you planned to come forth from non-physical and have experiences that would cause you to have expansion. We're not saying the book is distorted, but we're saying that your take on it and what you just expressed to us is...
Okay. So souls don't come and one is to be a rapist and one is to be a victim of the rapist, and they're just fulfilling that contract.
No,
Therefore,
never,
you're
not
never.
one time ever. All of you come forth knowing that you are extensions of source energy, and only someone who is disconnected from who they really are ever offers anything that is violent in nature. And it's not because you're bad, it's because you're disconnected. And a book like that, or any premise like that, is already deciding that you're not only bad in the action that you offered, but you were bad and that's why you offered that action, and you're not only bad and that's why you offered that action, but you came intending to be bad. Nothing could be screwier than that idea.
Wow.
All right. Wow. So, first of all, this is the consistent message when you study spiritualism, whether that's like Silver Birch or a lot of the old materials, which are still very relevant today. And it's also common sense. And it's information that I wouldn't claim to be a channeler. I have an intuitive ability, though. I do get a little bit like downloads of information. And the same concept comes in again and again through all these different places. And that's why I've always championed the exact points that Esther brings up, throughout my books and throughout this channel's history. Because to veer away from this is to create moral relativism. Moral relativism is the wet dream of any bad guy, anyone who wants to exploit or do harm. Nothing is better than giving them permission, saying, well, you're just playing a role. It's all theater. Now, the book she was referring to, it could have been something by Rob Schwartz or some of these guys who do propose these ideas, and they do so very seriously. And it requires pushback, and it's very good that Hicks is providing that pushback. Because, kind of like what's being said here, and was there anything left? No. Kind of like what was being said here, it's a soul that's evil. It doesn't mean that it is like true evil. It's misguided souls that are disconnected on a path of service to self. They don't understand, and they're frightened, confused, full of fear. And that is kind of what we're dealing with. It's not there's no Christian judgmental God or something you sin and you're around other sinners, or there's original sin, or there's souls born evil that are of the devil, and then all that stuff is mythology. But there is such a thing as greatly chaotic, greatly confused, and evil acting entities. It's not that they're condemned to be that way forever, but it defies common sense. It defies any kind of spiritual logic that somebody who is already coming from a place of, not being broken, confused, and all of these things would incarnate on Earth and take up the role of a murderer, an rapist, an rapist, or any other kind of horrible person, because you're not going to undo your spiritual progression and become a bad person or a wicked person. That doesn't make any sense. It's just not the way it works. So I'm really glad Esther Hicks, of all people, is they're saying these things. So the question on my mind is, why the contradictions of information? Why has Esther, aka Abraham, said things that sound a lot like the opposite of this, and then one morning, she sounds really impatient. Someone puts these ideas out, and she totally rebutes it. And I have to say, a more eloquent way than even I could. So what happened? Well, there's two angles. One is called benefit of the doubt. Benefit of the doubt says that she is a channeler, and she was channeling bad info the other times, and this time she was spot on, getting a clear line of communication and getting some accurate info. The cynic in me is that Hicks is not a channel. She's not channeling her pinky toe, and she's channeling her profit incentive, and she realized that it's a bad play saying the things about 9/11 victims and saying the things about RAPE survivors in the past, all the stuff that I highlighted in the video titled "There's Something Seriously Wrong with Esther Hicks, Abraham Hicks." And she realized, I'm getting bad press, I'm disturbing people, I'm losing likes and shares and program purchases, and so I have to change the angle because that stuff's no good, so I'm going to switch it around. So that, to me, that's the most likely explanation. Third possibility is that she doesn't really know what she believes in or knows what she's saying from one moment to the next. Maybe she is channeling stuff, but we don't even know what she is channeling. So she could be channeling good stuff, or she could be channeling bad stuff by negative entities, or she could be one day waking up and channeling, a divine or a heavenly source of information, and then the next day it's something from the opposite spectrum, like something from a lower astral realm that's like, oh, everyone should just, do any horrible thing they want to each other because it's all theater, and life is just a big cinema, and we're actors, and we're not responsible for our actions. All very poisonous stuff, I think, for society if those ideas became like widespread, right? So I don't know what it is, but I will say that I'm very happy that Esther said these things. I have to maybe apologize. I didn't find this video or learn about these things before I put down the Abraham Hicks rebuttal video. This would have added a different color to those things that I've said before. Because at least I could say, why is she contradicting herself so badly? Ultimately, if you get into a debate with people about this, and the New Agers who want to push moral relativism, I suggest find this video called Abraham Hicks, Sacred Contracts to Do Evil on the Serene and Peaceful channel, and share that with them. Because that little 2-minute soundbite, pithier than anything I've ever thought of. So congratulations, Esther Hicks, for getting something right. That's it for this video. Leave a comment down below and tell me what you think about this controversy and what you think about these issues. And what else to say? Get involved at afterlifetopics.com, Afterlife Topics and Metaphysics on Facebook. There's a Life After Death discussion group on MeWe, and we got a little Afterlife Topics Reddit page. Different places you can get involved and discuss these issues, chat it out with other people who are also into, metaphysics or the life in the grand scheme of things. That's it for now. This is Cyrus. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you guys soon on the next video.